All right, all right. Hello, YouTube, Facebook, internet world, and uh, plane and realm, wherever you're joining us from. Tonight it is weekend at BurnEye's. I've joined with Mike from Faraday Research, as well as my good friend Ominous, the beatboxer, and as you will be hearing all night. We are going to be talking about the science of sound as well as Mike's continued electrical engineering amazingness. And hopefully, Campbell wakes up and joins us, as I'm not currently aware what time it is in Australia, but hopefully, he catches the stream. I will let you take it away, Mike.
Well, basically, it's the same thing as last week. I've been trying to engineer a usable transformer. So, like I said in last show, it's not easy. So, I'm playing with different wire combinations, gauge sizes, primary and secondary combinations. Also, implementing the Tesla coil. If I have to raise up the potential to get the power that I need. So it's experimentation. So this stuff doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes it takes months to get the results that you want. So basically, that's it. I'm just trying to get stuff together and trying to get things to work the way I want it to work. And as soon as I get that figured out, then it goes to the next stage. I have the flywheel, and I've been working on that a bit today, and getting that all ready to figure out how I'm going to use it in the system, how I'm going to place it. It's going to be standing upright, or it's going to be sitting on flat on the table. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes into engineering something like this, and it could take a year, it could take longer. I don't know. I can't really put a time frame on stuff like that. But yeah, it's just a work in progress, really.
As are all great alchemist works throughout the ages. Um, so you're talking about a setup that you're getting going here. It's with the Don Smith and the double spark gap.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking about frequencies tonight. And, we have a music artist on the show with us tonight. And basically, energy and music. And, well, that's where it all started, with music and modulating music into electricity to basically make it into media that we have today. So, frequency and music, it's a no-brainer. They go hand in hand. So there's a lot of similarities with electricity that we're using with music. Some of the old music, like works from Bach, a lot of it, if you listen to the music and they put it through a scope, a lot of it is very similar to the waveform of electricity. So Eric Dollard, he's been working with that type of music in his research, and it's a very big part of it. So music and what we're doing in energy, very, very similar. They go hand in hand, basically. So when it comes down to like a transformer, which I'm working on right now, to get this signal to actually jump from the primary to the secondary, it's a frequency. In school, they tell you it's the magnetic flux within the two cores that travel around in a circle to merge together. But that's not the case, because when you create an electromagnetic field, that flux is stuck within the electromagnetic field. So therefore, only about 5% of that flux will actually reach the secondary winding. So in actual fact, how it actually transfers that power is by frequency. So if you have one tuning fork on one side and another tuning fork on the other side, your ring one, the second tuning fork is going to do exactly the same thing. It's going to receive that power wirelessly through the air. And that's up for debate. It's a lot of people out there believe that to be true. Some people believe what's taught in academia. So it's
It,
kind of a controversy right
it is a
now.
controversy, and it's kind of an open evidence in the physics world why it's such a dogma. Is it proves energy travels simultaneously through space time, as well as the amplification of that same energy through that space time all at once in the resonating of like the harmony forks, tuning forks, and such. And it's kind of like the atomic clocks and how they all align to one another, all these different what they call quicks and quarks, but just proves that we are only discovering.
Mhm.
Mike, have you seen the Daniel Nunes like one-stop energies, their POE vortex coils? The like their
No, I haven't.
okay,
No,
so
I
they're
haven't.
advanced rodent coils, and
Oh, yes, yes.
they're
Okay, I know
three
what you're talking
phase.
about.
And I'm gonna play the video because I'm not. This might be their most recent one, but there's a couple of them with these coils where they have two identical ones on top of each other, and they're
Yeah,
three phase, and through them they're able to. There's no essential like ferrite or mass uh, for the induction that goes through it. It's two identical coils, but they
yeah.
show that it replicates it identically through. So I think this might be solving or at least on the same lines of what you are currently trying
Yeah,
to.
they're basically two coils that are in resonance with each other.
Yeah.
So they
So, but
will.
if you have three of them on top of it, say, and you so the first one is hooked up to the grid system, like
Right.
your house, and then the other two are hooked up to their own little bell circuit that has the actual resistance and your like electronics and stuff through it throughout
Yeah.
your house. That then it multiplies through the induction supposedly and whatnot, but that's a little bit more advanced. That's the ultimate goal. But here, that these guys, I just think this is something you should see. So I'm gonna play it and
All right.
mute myself out, and I think everybody should enjoy it. They're great people. I've been meaning to actually do a stream with Daniel and his wife. I got to catch up with them. They've joined on a couple of the alien scientist streams we've been doing. But
Mhm.
yeah, here I will play this.
Yeah. See, he's becoming the ground. So the electrons are flowing through him into the circuit to complete it.
Hello, everyone. This is Daniel Nunez with OneStopEnergies.com, and today I want to demonstrate the PoE Advanced Vortex Coil 432. This is a trifilar design, and this one right now is being oscillated on two separate leads with both of those leads left open on either side. So as you can see, it's broken up to three colors. You have copper, red, and green. So the start of the copper is going in, and then you have the finish of the copper left to open air. Then you have the finish of the red going in, and then you have the output here left to open air. So, in other words, this coil is resonating. Both frequencies are matched because it's the same source. However, the energy is going in opposite directions, contorting through the coil. And the third lead that we have in the center of those two conductors is our output. And as you can see, the output is shining brightly there. It's a neon bulb, and that one should be above 60 volts in order to turn on to that degree. So here's the input. Input is at 194,000 hertz and 20 volts peak to peak. I got a reading of the current. The current is at 0.008 going in right over here. It is at 0.010 going across through this neon. So we are seeing an increase in current.
Campbell!
Obviously, we're seeing an increase
Hello,
in
I'm not
voltage
late.
because that has to be about 60 volts. So it's
A
really
wizard
about
is
3
always on
times
time.
the voltage of what's going in. All told, that's pretty impressive. So
Oh,
we
rodent
have,
coil.
you have the
Yeah, the more advanced
magnet
Daniel knew as
reading,
one-stop energy POE, peace on earth
reading,
coil, they call it. But it is
you have
based off rodent
electric,
coil.
which is the electric field.
See, the thing with rodent coils,
I don't know what
okay,
reason it
the
pulsates.
field is confined within the rodent coil. It doesn't radiate out like a Tesla coil does. It will to a point, but as soon as it passes that field or it comes to that field flux line, it doesn't come out too far. But anything like, say, if you were to put a magnet in the middle of that rodent coil, it'll start to spin.
Correct, and that's also why I don't know if it goes into it specifically in this video. I think it's another one, but about stacking them, and then by having the exact same identical geometry, thus like resonance, it's essentially the same sort of effect as your tuning forks, only through these three-phase coils, and that they have the anode cathode going in, and then on the regular two-phase, and then the three phases open into the atmosphere, and then they pump through
See,
it. But
not only that, you know what also you could do? If you stack them and you put a shaft with a magnet north-south on either side, you got a motor.
oh, exactly.
A three-phase motor.
Because it'll spin.
Yeah, well, the fields are spinning, right? The way it's configured.
Two of these on top, one below the spinny thing you want to make your flywheel sort of thing.
It wouldn't be enough torque. The problem is it would work for very small scale stuff, but see, you have to introduce a core in the middle. Now, if you introduce a core in the middle of that,
absolutely, you'd have a giant iron core going down, and then you'd have the like three stacked on top, your flywheel in the middle, and then another like three on the bottom or one on the bottom sort of thing.
Because in essence, what you're looking at is kind of almost like a Tesla coil, but three-phase, right?
Exactly.
But now, because the way it's configured, that flux is confined in the donut shape. It'll radiate out a little bit, but not the way a traditional Tesla coil will. Because I could take this coil here, right, and I could light up LED or fluorescent light bulbs 18 inches away. You can't do that with a rodent coil. So
what's the main difference between a rodent coil and a Tesla coil? Is it the magnets?
No, well, the rodent coil, it's the configuration of how it's wrapped.
Yeah, the wrapping and the shape and the geometry of it. But Mike, what I'm saying is combining all of these things together, like you're doing, right? Is like, let's not limit ourselves to just one.
Actually, on the contrary, sorry to jump in. On the contrary, you might want to look into this for your experiments with fusion. Your fusion experiments.
100% I am, and like the sound resonance through these things, and then putting those specific sound frequencies into the anode and cathode.
Think about it.
Electrolysis. That's exactly it for nailing.
So you put a high voltage through there, and put a spark gap right in the center of the toroid.
Ooh, yes.
Aha. There you go. Because now you got the electromagnetic
so how do you do that?
field.
Does that mean you have like two of the winding wires facing in the middle, and that becomes your spark gap? Like, is that how you jump it?
Put the jar in the middle of one of these, or a couple of these.
Yeah, you could do that too. Yep.
Going into
like
with
the copper. Okay.
In the middle of the actual jar would be the spark gap.
Yeah, that would be a good idea for you, Bernie.
Because
that would for fusion. Oh yeah. because the idea in a fusion process is you're trying to confine everything in a field, right? So if you make an electromagnetic field in the middle, that fusion process now has nowhere to go. It is confined to that spot, and that's what you want, and that's where the fusion reaction happens in an electromagnetic field. If you do it right, you might not even have to do it submerged in water. You could do it out in open air. So I don't know if that resonates anything with you or give you any ideas, but I see something like that being.
You envisioned exactly what I've already we've seen the same vision, and I am definitely actively pursuing those experiments to be done. As well, some I have to do is the glass jars grounding plates underneath some of them as well. And Campbell, just to get you all caught up here, this is my friend Ominous. He's a professional beatboxer artist I've worked with for many, many years. He's upstairs in my other bedroom, so a different sound room. So he'll be joining in, and he's watched a couple of our
Weekend at Bernie's.
Exactly.
Good movie.
Which one?
Weekend at Bernie's.
First one or second one?
Hello, Mike again.
First one, the original.
I keep dropping out too.
No, you're okay. I can hear you fine.
What's the main difference with a like a rodent coil? That the main thing about a rodent coil is it had 3 wrappings, right? That was the big
That's
thing.
right. Trifilar.
All the old ones had 2. And so that third one represented like the connection to the ether, right? Just like the spark gap. So how do they differ? How is the spark gap so much? I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, how is the rodent coil drawing ethereal energy through that third winding?
It's the same process, but you're tripling the power or tripling the field.
Also, the toroidal shape of it, right? The geometry of the advanced mathematics of how it's wrapped into the same toroidal shape as like magnetic flux field is in its full dimension.
But it's not as effective as having a gap. It's not as effective as drawing that energy in as just literally dumping the plasma spark gap.
There's actually a complete gap in the middle that's a complete dead black zone that's created when it's run, and then it's that you're trying to get the gap between the gaps sort of thing. Maybe essentially put a spark gap between one of those dead zones and see if you're reaching.
Well, that's the idea. That's where you want to put it.
Right? Like, well, I was saying with like what you're also doing there, Mike, of if you had one of these coils and then had it hooked up into the circuit and then had one of your spark gaps running directly through that black void spot in the center of it and see what.
Well, what I like to do, experiment down the road. I'm trying to kind of stay focused on the build that I'm doing, but what I like to do is do some experiments where I build a coil. Hold on, I can show you here.
Is it similar to like Stanley Meyer's like water idea, like for his car?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Line, I think, Ken, with the electrolysis hydrogen aspect of it, but then all of the actual electrical circuitries and stuff is exactly what Mike's doing. Those sort of systems.
But that's 0 point energy, right?
See what Stanley Meyer was doing with this coil. It was basically increasing the output of the electrolysis process, because in regular mainstream science, they'll say you can only frack water to a certain point, right? Now, he built this coil. Basically, it was in a toroid configuration, and it was separated into, I believe, 4 phases around the coil. Now, he was getting the results he wanted with this coil setup. Now, the government came in and seized it, said it was a matter of national security, and they basically seized it and took all the stuff related to it. So, obviously, the government did not want him to have that coil, because that coil apparently made huge amount of gains as far as being able to increase the output of the electrolysis process. So, and then shortly after that, he was poisoned to death. So, yeah, another victim of the free energy movement. But yeah, definitely the coil and a transformer is the key to really getting the over unity is the coil, the transformer, all these things that we're working with right now. This is where you get your free energy. Regular academia will not accept this. Meanwhile, we've been using it to power our world for the last 100 years, right? You know, we got transformers outside from the power, you know, steps everything down, goes into our house, and we use it. So obviously these coils are over unity devices because we can step it up or we can step it down. We have full control over it. So
yeah, I love what how Tom Bearden and Tom Bearden and Joseph P. Farrell describe it, and it's essentially open circuit or a higher dimensional circuitry of energy stepping up and being multiplied through the transformers. But it's like you're bringing in sound energy, you're bringing in light energy, you're bringing in heat energy, you're bringing in radio energy, you're bringing in all the different spectrums of the EM field through these plasma spark gaps, and then adding it in and getting that multiplication essentially, and you get the step up power. The over unity is how you're able to tweak it through the transformers that are getting it down to the right frequency that our electricity runs on.
that's
so
right.
Right, exactly. If that
Lower the frequency, the more powerful it is. Okay, so that's like I said in the last show. I can take one of these coils, put 7,000 volts through it, and I can pull a spark off my finger a half inch. Well, if I were to do that with the power that comes out of the wall, I'd be dead. It's all because of the frequency. So our music artist tonight is going to teach us what the frequency can actually do.
Okay.
You want to hear some now?
And so should our frequency, sorry, the frequency that we've got energy at, that should be higher then, should it? And then it would be less destructive. Is that right?
Yeah, higher the frequency, the less destructive. But Tesla was making it in a form that you can use to light up light bulbs and stuff like that. But everybody went the other direction. You know, lower voltage, lower frequency, and 60 hertz is lethal. It'll kill you.
It's the cold electricity to the hot electricity. The Tesla's cold electricity, it still ran on the same electrical frequency that our systems are run on, but it didn't also include the hot electricity amperage resistance needing that creates that loss and usage and high amount of actual energy going through those frequencies and through the electricity. And that's why hot electricity that we're using that has the high amperage will kill you with shock, but electricity still being at those really high voltages, that same electrical frequency doesn't do that same damage because it's not that massive amount of like overall energy in that frequency going through and the resistance and lossage happening.
Yeah,
that's those famous pictures we see of Tesla or whoever that was holding the bulbs and that. But yeah, sorry to jump in there, Ominous. Let's hear some music.
Yeah.
Well, you're talking about
sorry to jump
when
in
it comes
there,
to
Bernie.
music, and I hope everybody can hear it well. Like vibrations, I like to do it with different ways. Like for instance, I'll do like a Like Pac-Man. What do you think about that? Sound.
Wow. I think that was
I agree.
awesome, and I like Pac-Man too. Was that all just vocals, was it? Or are you using any electronic equipment there, or just vocals?
Yep.
Oh, Maduli, that's amazing.
Oh, thanks.
I thought you'd swallowed a didgeridoo for a minute there.
Oh,
Me and Ken have been
That
friends
is cool.
for like 15 years now, like pretty much like high school.
yeah, a long time. Yeah, a minute or two. Yeah.
Most definitely.
Oh, thanks.
Done a few shows together over the years.
Yeah, I know shows. I have a lot of fun with it, but sound is
Okay.
very important to me. Rhythm is important to me. It's a way of life. It's helped me out a lot of times. And a lot of science is, how it works out in the end is really interesting to me. Circulatory system, circulated breathing, using like my diaphragm, my nose, my nostrils, my throat. It's really cool stuff.
It's
There's a
energy.
lot to it. Vibrations is important. It's what makes people feel a certain way. It's what makes
energy.
people, it could be used as a, they have
Yeah.
specific things that can alter your mood based upon frequency. So, I mean, it's good to understand different aspects of sound, the very thing that everybody seems to be comfortable with when they hear something called music.
It's very much
Definitely.
a
I
part
mean,
of
you can
the
heal
electrical.
with music. They used to, just listen. Definitely. I mean, it's how we speak to the universe, how do we speak to God, really, isn't it?
In a way,
All is frequency.
it depends on the context, I think. Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
And how it resonates with the
Do you
consciousness. I suppose.
randomly. Yeah, exactly. It's You're
Have you
aligning
ever
with a certain.
have you ever used
you were doing some random stuff there. Oh, Mike's gone.
Sorry,
Mike's
we're
doing a bit
having
of painting. Oh, there he is.
can you hear me or
trying to talk at once.
Bit of
so I'm
connection
gonna-
issues. We're talking to.
have you ever used
shut up. How's that?
music to heal yourself?
Yes.
As far as
I believe that there's been times where I've had my heart palpitations go really fast and I would resonate a beat. And because of the rhythm of the beat, it calmed me down or made me feel, it took my attention away from it. And whether it's a placebo or not, I'm pretty convinced that it has saved my life in ways like that to maintain mellowness from it, like a situation concerning anxiety, whatever that may be. And that I see it as a way of life because things could be rhythmatic and with numbers and things that could be comforting. Especially like say for people who are autistic, for instance. Like I learned beatboxing from my brother. We'd watch much music. He'd do scratch imitations. I was like, how's he doing that? I was learning already things about choir, how to sing. And, I didn't know it was going to foreshadow into something that I'd be doing on the regular. And, it also depends on how I feel. If I'm sick, I can do certain sounds that I can't do when I'm normal, and I use it to my advantage. If I have a sound guy, I hear what resonates well, depending on what's up, what's down on my frequencies. And, there's always something to learn with it. And because of that, it keeps my brain young, I think, because if you're exercising your mind, it's the best way to prevent senility and things like dementia, as long as your mind is consistently being challenged to learn and seek information, and it stays young. So
have you ever have you experimented with frequencies to cure, say, like a headache or something as common as that?
yeah, it depends. Like if I'm doing certain sounds, like sometimes like if I'm doing like breathing sounds or sounds with my throat, it depends. Like
Right.
or like I could do sounds like it just depends. I could do inward and outward, but I try to do that when I'm breathing in so that the beat is constant. But some of those frequencies do calm me down. And a lot of those frequencies can be used to trigger people to feel anxiety as well. And I think that happens a lot, and it's open to conspiracy and to interpretation on how people use those frequencies to really put people at a state of vulnerability, because music's very powerful in that kind of way that can shape
Right.
even the most strongest of minds. So the science of that is very important, because most people like music. There aren't too many people that don't like music altogether. They like something. So,
Yeah.
and it's powerful that it can reach you in that kind of sense. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and that
I
in
had
itself, I think, is science.
I had an issue with my shoulder a few years back. I was getting calcium deposits in my shoulder. So the therapist I went to, he had an ultrasonic therapy gun, and he was focusing the ultrasonic waves on the infected areas to break up the calcium using ultrasonic waves, and it helped my shoulder out. So doctors are starting to use ultrasound and for imaging or curing, problems like calcium in the shoulder, gallstones, and all that stuff. So they're starting to catch on with the frequency of sound can be therapeutical. So yeah, it's an evolving technology. Like the stuff I'm doing, it's evolving all the time, and energy and frequency, they go hand in hand.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree. And I think with the right frequencies, certain people can, like, you listen to certain ones every day. It can really calm your state or even change your state of mind. So it is kind of neat, because it's kind of like a door into something that alters your subconscious and like whatever your dream or life or conscious state is. It's interesting. I like it.
Yeah, it's definitely a science
What are your
that
thoughts on
people
the
should.
whole? Sorry, you
Go ahead, Campbell. Go ahead,
Oh, no.
Campbell.
Just going to say, what are your thoughts on the whole 440, 432 thing? Oh,
Are you asking me?
oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
I don't really know too much about it, actually.
Oh, okay. So like the resonant frequency of, I think they say it's a resonant frequency of the Earth is 432 hertz, and all music
neat.
was written and played in 432, but it was changed in World War II by Himmler, I believe. It was behind it, and they changed it all to 440, which is basically so it's not in tune.
That's
with,
right. Yes.
with us and with nature and the Earth and all that. It's out of tune now.
Yeah. You're right, Campbell. I heard that too.
That's
yeah,
neat.
it's actually.
I'm the first I've ever heard it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a signal generator.
yeah,
Actually,
need
you
to get
might
back.
want to check out. It's called the Spooky 2. It's a signal generator, and it's used for therapy for health ailments and stuff like that. You can look it up on the internet. It's called the Spooky 2. It's a signal generator. It'll do the upper level and do the lower level. And it also comes with a huge list of frequencies for, say, like heart problems or high blood pressure or cataracts or cancers. And every single ailment has an upper frequency and a lower frequency. When you tune into those and you put yourself in that field, it's going to cure you. So, yeah, you might want to look up a guy named James Rife. He was back in the 1930s, and he was experimenting with this stuff. And that might be right up your alley. Yeah, the Rife
With
machine.
a W or an R, right?
RIFE.
Okay. Cool. No, I love that kind of stuff. Yeah, I like checking that out. It might, it always adds on to my overall repertoire in the end of things.
Oh, it's a huge world. You'll be fascinated by it. As soon as you get into this stuff, it's pretty much addictive.
It's
So
a
you'll
bit of a
it is.
Pandora's box.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, because you can look at, what do we have inside us, right? We have all these bits and pieces, and what do they call them? They call them organs. Now, what do organs do? They create music and frequency, right? And then you can go as far as saying we have like a heart, right? And a heart is red. It's about the size of your fist, and it's got 4 chambers in it. And then you can look at a tomato, and a tomato is red. It's got 4 chambers in it. It's about the size of your fist for a normal traditional tomato. Now, tomatoes have pectins in them, which are really good for your heart. So you can look at it as that's a frequency. There's a frequency that is actually creating all that things are created to align with, and these are our organs. And so the same frequency that creates your heart is the same one that creates a tomato, or that creates, something else that is in line with that whole.
Got a little bit of lag there.
Yeah, I think there's a genesis of how something is, and then it's further manipulated, and then it changes everything like in a chaos theory kind of sense. Like it kind of manipulates that kind of sound and frequency to make like say for instance a melody is a whole bunch of a series to create something that sounds unique, but then strikes the chords of yourself emotionally. And I think that's a very interesting power. And I look at all those, like say those sonic weapons that make people feel in a vulnerable or altered state. I mean, that could be a very powerful weapon. Things even like that, like alter the weather, for instance. Like
have you looked into the cathedral?
The cathedral?
Am I back? I keep believing.
Oh, just cutting out.
Keep going.
I just gotta take 5 here, take a quick little break, and I'll be back.
Absolutely, Mike. So if you just want to mute yourself
Yep,
out
cool.
for a second, then come back in. And Campbell, you're getting into the perfect topic. Me and Ken Ominous, we were talking about how he's watched a couple of our past episodes and the shape and the frequency of the star forts and in the cathedrals and all of the sound resonance, and how we want to do some experiments measuring his him making different sounds in these different shaped rooms and the resonance frequencies, and filming it and all sorts of stuff. So for the second half, I'll get you to get some of the regular mind melting photos to go through. But I will.
Awesome. I think I've got that video too of recording the cathedral frequencies. So I'll have a quick look for that too and see if we can bring that up.
And so the picture I have up right now is one of Walter Russell's, and it's showing the octave scale and how the octave scale goes through chemistry creation, through geometry, through sound, through light, and through color. And it's the natural resonance that it is the 432 hertz that fits into this octave scale, and it's what Pythagoras called the harmony of the spheres. And then there's Plato's Platonic solids. They're all these natural shapes, geometries, and just system of frequency through color, shape, sound, energy, and it fits into rhythm. It fits into like the beat, into the harmony, and these different things. And Ominous, if you can kind of maybe touch on these, and I will let you and Campbell talk it out and mute myself for a bit because you guys haven't really had a chance. But yeah.
Well, I don't know. I just find like with the keys, when you're looking at the keys, like all the black keys and all those sounds are more towards like when you recognize those patterns, they make you think about certain things, like for instance, like dreams and how off they are. I find with the black keys, because they're not slight direct keys, so it alters the sound. You know what I mean? And so it can give you those certain feelings if you were using the majority black keys, it'd be more like when you're in a dream, things seem to be, like I said, like off key. And so I identify it more like with that. But at the same time, with the combination of things, and it makes something that wouldn't strike your mind of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't see in that picture. Were they giving the frequencies of the black keys or not? Because I don't think they did they? They kind of just ignored them.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, see, they're not. Yeah, see, that's just the white keys that they're putting the.
Yeah, right. See, these are like things that like you never think of. Some do,
It's
and
very
it comes together.
interesting
And
that you say off key.
absolutely that you
Well,
bring.
don't you think, or is that just more opinion? Is that subjective? Do you think to my opinion, or do you
Yeah.
like because they do?
I'd
They are
never,
off.
I'd
They're not.
never-
No, it's good though. But between the
Definitely.
artist minds, dreams, and
It's great.
dreaming, right?
Yeah.
That's tapping into another realm, and it's going sideways, right? Like to the
That's bizarre.
upside down, or to like the other realm or whatnot. But dream world,
Night and
it's
day, black and white, positive, negative, yin and yang.
exactly. But it's the consciousness traveling over, right? And it's who knows what multiverse realm that each dream connects into and stuff. But it's absolutely fascinating to hear each person's perspective on it and then tie it into other scientific facts and how it all affects one another. It is
Well, what I find is very interesting is when you sleep, you're psychotic every single night, and no one's putting you in the crazy house. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of interesting that those kind of things, and you can manifest. According to your consciousness, I mean, a lot of things that make your success, your future success, based upon these dreams, or it can remind you of something that, like a band, they'll say they got their name from a dream or something like that. And usually it's during an odd moment that seems normal until you're lucid, until you realize it's a dream. Then you can do whatever. It's different, but the black keys, like I was saying before, but with in harmony with the regular keys, you wouldn't notice it unless you're like focusing that specific attention on them.
Ooh, so that's like if you're resonating with the right harmony, you're getting like up in consciousness or in dreamland. If you're resonating with the dark hole, you're getting sucked back down to like the what got the upside down. No, thank you, Stranger Things. Like, yeah, that's a good thing. You don't be out of tune, or how knows where you're gonna project your consciousness into a dream world, right? Like, what, like that? That's fascinating.
But then what's subjective as good or bad? Because then there's as much as there's the direction of what you like in the music. That's why there's so much, I suppose, variety within it. So then people will argue their pros and cons, and there's an equal amount, towards that form of genre or music, or those familiar tones that are just altered or put towards that familiar genre. Well, a lot of people are fusing music these days, and they like things from each. And so sometimes they see those familiar patterns, they identify them, and because of that form of comfort, it gives it a sense of power, but with a sense of newness, because it's a retro, but something modern, almost like anything else.
That right, and it's like bringing up, like with the melding of music, where you have different classics being brought in, that these songs like bring up memories for every person of whether they've heard those songs before, and then it's like bringing it into that new song and like carrying the experience on. And that certain songs, it's like you have the beat and the rhythm, and if you have those two octaves of the song going, that anybody that is like in the rhythm vibrating to the music with the groove, they've got it. And they don't necessarily have to be consciously connected to it. But then when there are like the lyrics and the words that are like the catchy saying that amplifies the power of that spell, of the song, of the magic, right? That it can do good or bad, and whether it uses subliminally or it's like just the music of the soul that inspires the people, that brings that harmony and that mass resonance amongst all the living souls experiencing that soul rhythm dance harmony.
Well, people use it to manipulate. I mean, people who remember most things in the world, they use certain things to make them remember it. So they use like certain things to make them remember it. But if those subliminally, those lyrics are put into the mind, so for whatever purpose, that could be good or bad. But yeah, it's interesting.
I'm gonna let you three talk though for a minute while I step outside and
Yeah, I just had my
I think that's
cigarette.
Red Melinda's dream. I was just going to say with the Black Keys, it sounds like it's like the ether more. It's a background subconscious sort of sound or frequency. Like to do with dreams and the other realms, which is interesting because when you listen to music today, especially like the pop music, it's got a very heavy backbeat, right? Which is the Black Keys, right? They're a deeper tone, and that sort of gets you into the hypnotic state where then they sing in high keys. So then they program you. Then they're like influencing because they put you in a certain state where you're accepting with the backbeat, and then they sing all their lyrics into your mind, which is how they program you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then it takes it out of context because I think depending on how, yeah, and then those keys like just they blend. It's how the person blends it. It's how much it's always put into the song with the notes. I guess if you look at the notes, and I wonder what kind of algorithms it creates outside of how you perceive it with your just hearing it. So. But I mean, it's always been one of those things I've never really focused on whenever I tried learning piano, like the black keys, why are they there? When you play them, they just seem like they just make you feel a certain way instantaneously. It's like a lot of things. It just that kind of connection, that kind of vibe, or whatever it projects, that you get it immediately in that speed. But blending it in and putting it in the right context, it sounds like something identifiable and even eventually relatable and comfortable to the point where it's like, well, I can't believe I didn't live without it, kind of thing. Love-hate relationship, I suppose, of the black key.
Right.
See, I think that's has to do
it's
with
kind
a
of
lot
like
of
hidden, and they just sort of
yeah, it's subliminal,
Sorry, mate, yeah.
and also it's the way I see it too is it's been used all throughout history. If you even goes to back to the biblical times, when they crumbled the walls of Jericho, they used a certain tone and
Yes,
frequency
like
as
trumpets.
a weapon,
Mm,
right? And we're doing it again today. We're coming up
yep.
with ultrasonic weapons.
Yeah,
So
they marched around it 7 times, and then on the 7th
Yep.
time they all shouted, and apparently with the frequencies based upon whatever that was, that's what happened. And there are those sonic kind of weapons, and
Crumbled
weapons
the
that also
wall.
alter your mood, which I find are the weirdest ones too, overall. Like the ones that those frequencies make you feel a certain way to make you vulnerable for the enemy to attack you, which is crazy.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah,
Even
have you
today,
seen the sound weapons that they used to use? Like the big
I've
trumpet
seen them.
things?
To, like when there's when they have riots and stuff, they bring them out and they make like a really loud noise, and it's a decibel level you can't stand, and it's just like it's piercing.
yeah. So actually, I've heard to the point
It's not
where
the
it's
brown note, is
actually.
it?
I heard some frequencies could actually make you vomit.
It could kill you. Like
It'll kill you.
200 decibels, like even ice crushing in the Antarctic, that's loud enough that it could kill you based upon how loud it is and the frequency. And I don't know,
Frequency,
like
and look at opera singers and singers who smash glasses.
Yep.
Just with their voice.
You get the right resonant sound and frequency, you could break glass.
make people deaf.
Exactly.
Yep. The eardrums are pretty small, and it's funny because they control your balance too. That's another thing. These small, tiny little bones in your body's smallest there are that can control the way that you walk. It's kind of interesting.
Yep. It all has connections.
It is.
Everything,
it is.
Everything is so connected. It's more connected than it meets the eye, because it all goes back to energy is frequency, sound is frequency. It's also energy, and it's all connected. It's all interlaced.
So in that case, it's just consistently converted, but then there's no creation to it.
Yep, it's just a matter of what combination you put together with the energy, the frequency, and it'll give you effects. So music can definitely
it's basically
be a
the
part
same
of
thing that can be expressed in different forms. can be expressed in, color, shape, feeling, sound, but all those things can have one frequency.
Environment is a big thing too, because it's relevance of when the sound is most appreciated or underappreciated, for that matter too. Hence why it's like there's a point in time where these frequencies are most popular. Top 40.
I think that's what we need to get back to, isn't it? Like natural frequencies and harmonics, because harmonics, right, should be harmonious, but we're just being flooded with all these frequencies, and especially, music, the music they pump out is just such crap. And that's all putting us, off key, right? Where the natural resonances and the nature and 432 and all this stuff, that they put us back into resonance, into key, back into where, and that's also healthy, right? All these frequencies, being out of key, that means it's like, your body can't heal itself. It can't do its proper functions. So frequency is massive.
Oh, it is, and some people depend on it. Like I said, some people like count things and specific things, odd or even numbers over and over again to function. Sometimes, like it's those frequencies of numbers, or those things that make numbers in order to make things quantifiable eventually, and instead of 1 zeros, then they become more complicated, and which I think is cool, because then quantum computers will define these things more to a technical term, and there'll be more, I think, things in relation to string theory and sound, I think, as well. So,
well, string theory has to be sound, right? It's a string. Twang.
But would it be a relation of that similar sound somewhere else on a polar opposite side of the galaxy or universe, for instance? Would it be interpreted in a similar way where it's identifiable almost to the point of language, like music can be, without having a word spoken?
Yeah, how about like telepathy?
Is this what they were doing in the past? Exactly. It's. I mean, we know, right? You go out and you talk to people, and it's like, oh no, they're just not on my level. Just not on. They're just not on my frequency. We didn't sync. Didn't. So we. It's in our language that we know it's frequency, right? If you talk to someone and their energy is all sporadic and all over the place, you're like, or if they're low, negative energy, you just feel it. And then when someone's frequency is similar to yours, you feel that too, and we say it in our language. Yeah, they were on my level. Yep.
And then the frequencies are clouded, and then the whole perspective of that frequency has changed, and then we see it differently, and that's why there's all these trends of something that normally would be, not particularly well liked becomes liked, and then vice versa, and it keeps switching on and off because that frequency is interpreted in a different light of how it's how it's perceived by the consciousness or something.
Yeah. How it's perceived, exactly. Have you seen Dr. Emoto's work, Ominous?
No.
Dr. Emoto, that's another guy to look into. EMOTO. He freezes water crystals, and what he does is he freezes them not with sound but with intention. And so when he freezes them, he gets fractal shapes. And he does stuff like he got this polluted water from a river and he took photos of it, and it was just all this, just no shape or anything, just all this random crap, and all distorted, yeah. And then I think that one he spoke to. Sometimes he speaks to the water. Sometimes he literally just writes a message on paper and sticks it on the front of the jar, and then he leaves them for a couple of days and then photographs them again, and they're perfect geometry. Like 5-pointed stars, 7-pointed stars, fractals, hexagons, octagons, all this kind of stuff. And then he does it. Was it? I can't remember. Maybe it was him. Maybe it was someone else. But it has been done with frequency. And as you, or actually, it's called more cymatics, is what it's called. And they get like sand, and they'll put it on a drum, and they'll put a frequency into the drum. And as they raise the frequency, the sand makes shapes, the exact same shapes that Dr. Emoto makes in the ice, right? And then as you go up, the shapes get more and more complex as the frequency gets higher. And literally, there'll be a point, and this is what Mike was talking about, the range of frequency for an organ. That in that book, they have a top and a bottom frequency that affects a certain organ. And when you see the cymatics, it'll go up and it'll be a shape and it'll be held in that shape. And then the frequency will just go up a little. Sorry. Okay, I'm back. It'll hit that point and then instantly the shape will change to a more complex shape. It just instantly changes when the frequency goes up. So yeah, literally frequency creates what we see in reality. Literally.
Yeah, I've actually
and you
seen
can change it. Literally.
It's neat, the right snowflakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
that.
yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, just like snowflakes.
it's so cool, and they're all different.
Yeah, yeah. So
But yeah, it's based upon a mathematical
cymatic,
structure.
yeah.
It's so neat.
Exactly. And then I don't know if you know about star forts, but we look into star forts, which are these forts that are all over the place, and they have the same frequent. They're all like 5-pointed stars, 7-pointed stars, and they've got octagons in them and things, and pentagons, and they look like they're the same, shapes that you get from these frequencies, and they're these massive structures built out of limestone and stuff all over the earth. There's thousands of them. So it's,
You think they're gateways?
There was a big energy grid system. Well, yeah, a lot of people do. We're still, because they're very old and they've all been taken apart. They used to have water used to run through them, and that was a big component. And of course, we were just talking about water and water fractals and things. So they were generating, they were all connected together. But yeah, they were definitely on like ley line nodal points and things where there was natural energy. So they could have functioned as some kind of gateway. Get the right key, right? And you can open the gateway.
Well, and water is a good source for, it like for electricity, like how it transfers things. Perfect source for that kind of to aid in that.
Definitely. And then we have the cathedrals, right? And they all have water running under them. Like the same water that goes around these stars used to run under the cathedrals. And then in the cathedrals, you have an organ, right? A big organ that plays certain frequencies. Above those organs, you have these big round stained glass windows. And the traditional ones were actual fractal patterns. They weren't, like the religious, pictures you see. The original ones were actually just fractal designs. And so you have the organ matching the window. It puts out a frequency. Of course, the floors, have fractal patterns on them. So we think that cathedrals were just healing centers. They were creating a certain frequency and just blasting it out. And of course, the bells, right? The bells. They all had bells, but all the bells got taken away in World War II and destroyed.
That's weird.
So it's all part of a big system of energy and harmonics and frequency, but it's being taken apart.
And I wonder how much sound affects possibly gravity, if that's even possible too. Do you figure that sound can affect gravity?
Yep, very much so. I've seen experiments where
I posted a video.
They had the box, and then they had the transducers and all corners, and they put a ping pong in the middle, and they start blasting radio free sound waves into the box, and the balls start to float in midair.
I've seen that.
Sure, yeah, I think that's possible.
They do it with water as well, water droplets.
Yeah, it could be a very credible form of lost technology that the ancients might have used to move those blocks into place for the pyramids by using sound frequency.
This is something I was going to mention before. When you were talking about the spark gap and the rodent coil, what would happen if you, or can you use mercury to create the spark gap, or can you have the spark gap jump across mercury? What do you think would happen if you put mercury in there?
Well, it would conduct it. It would conduct it.
Right? We're told the Vimanas were basically their levitation came from spinning mercury in a centrifuge, and that gives it levitation properties. So I wonder, could you do that? Could you jump a spark across mercury through a rodent coil?
Sure.
What would happen then? You'd probably end up in another reality.
Yeah,
That would
time
be
portal.
interesting. That's cool. I never thought of that.
Endless possibilities.
Yeah, because Mercury's weird, and ominous. You probably haven't heard. There's a thing called red Mercury, which
I've heard of that.
basically, I mean, you have, yeah. So it's not even talked about now, and that's that is attracted to gold and is repelled by garlic, and it's invisible. It's literally like a plasma from the fifth dimension.
But do you think it's associated with antimatter, or
if
something to do with-
and produces like plasmatic
Definitely.
large enough?
Yep.
It has to.
Its qualities, the qualities that it has, aren't from this dimension, aren't from this 3D dimension. Its qualities are from, another dimension. It seems.
Yeah,
So it's like plasma.
It is. It is plasma. It's crazy. Should we? I try and find.
I'm just running to the toilet. I'll be back.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Amos, do you want to do some more beatboxing?
I'll do a little bit.
Okay. And I'll just be looking for a video while you do that. So. That was absolutely dope.
Thanks.
So I found a couple of videos on Red Mercury. We will play one and see what we think. Come on, streaming from Sri Lanka. Screw you, Apple, Scotiabank. God, can't even read.
What was that guy's name from Police Academy?
Michael Winslow.
Beatboxer?
Oh, God.
The sweeps in the yeah.
What was that guy's name from Police Academy that did all those sounds?
Michael Winslow.
Yeah, Michael Winslow. He was good.
Come on. I hate buffering.
All good. It'll all come together.
Screw that. It didn't want to happen. Sorry, 1 second here. I'm gonna get on the other one.
how many people we got following us right now. Is there a number count?
I think he stepped away for a second.
Hmm.
Now he's got a pretty big following. We have quite a bit of people on tonight. Let's see what's in the chat here. Yeah, our chat room is pretty active. Yep. Yeah. So, have you done any research on your own? The ancients and how they use sound and all that kind of stuff. Have you ever done any of your own research a lot on that?
Maybe watched a couple documentaries on it, perhaps, and read a few articles here and there.
Yeah.
It does interest me. I do like how how it could be more understood now, but more on a scientific level. But they understood it maybe, and they saw it more of a spiritual level, or maybe they understood it far better than we did, and because of a form of wipeout of information that we're only just regathering.
Yeah, it's a lot of science. There were 6 major cataclysms on the planet in past history, so we've had 6 major resets. So obviously, in those resets, if there were civilizations that had a certain level of technological advancement, after the cataclysm, all that stuff was wiped out. It's lost. And any stuff that did survive was all swept up by the Smithsonian and hidden. So, some of this ancient technology is now starting to come back into mainstream, and people are starting to look at it seriously. What might have happened in past history? What technologies were they using? Electricity or sound and frequency and all that kind of stuff. Going back to the Bible stuff. The walls of Jericho. So obviously they knew sound was a very powerful force of nature, right?
Oh, absolutely. I still think about who was that one guy that he made that modern wonder, like out in near Miami or wherever it was there. And
the Coral Castle. Are you talking
that's
about
right.
the Coral Castle?
They don't know what was in his black box, but they figured it was the same way that Egyptians manipulated gravity in order to pivot things and move stones, because the guy was only like 5 foot something, like very short.
Yeah, he wasn't a big guy. Yeah,
he claimed he had the technology that the Egyptians had, and he always had, like, in a lot of these pictures, there was always a noticeable black box, and it disappeared. But he might have had some way to manipulate the gravity to make things lighter just with the gravity, because the gravity pulls it to and from way to his desire.
Yeah,
frequencies.
The Coral Castle we're talking about.
You were bang on. Oh, I've been listening. I was just shutting off my second laptop downstairs because I think it's using up bandwidth.
But the sad thing is, all the secrets and all the advancements he made, he took to his grave. He won't share it with anybody.
Not quite. I'm bringing up Vinnie Vincent right now, who's recreated almost to like a T. Vinnie St. Vincent over the year. Oh god, wrong one. But I played a little bit of it for you before, Mike. That crazy flywheel.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's Ed Leedscallan from Coral Castle. Yeah. He wrote a book that actually anyone can access, and I highly recommend people do online. Like it's a digital copy now. I think it's like something like it's Sweet Lady Electricity or Magnetism or something like that. But he talks about magnetic current in it as much as he does electrical current, and there's several different YouTubers, self-garage experimenters I've seen take applications from Ed's understanding of the electromagnetic and recreate their own flywheels and systems, and then merge it with Tesla's coils, pancake coils, different spark gaps, and all sorts of stuff. I'll play one right now. though it's quite advanced. It's actually it's great to see, like, there's just so many of us out there doing these crazy things, and we're just bringing it together and sharing ideas. And
Hello, my fellow YouTubers. This is Roy again.
Oh,
Let's talk about some
can't see it yet, Burn.
pulsing electrostatics into the ground. What kind of pressure? What kind of buildup? What's happening to the electrostatics today on a good rainy? Take some electrostatic and we're going to put it into edge wheel, and we're going to knock it down like a shunt, and we're going to run it through the coil, through the PMH down to the ground, and we're going to pulsate the ground through this positive side of the electrostatic to the ground. Well, I have some sawdust, some dead moths, whatever that's in there. We'll see what happens and how the ground reacts in a electrostatic environment. First, we'll start off by getting edge wheel pulsating. Now, you'll notice some things going on up here. I'll show you. This light bulb will be lighting up, especially if I touch it. You'll notice between the handle and the iron here, which is the pipe, which goes down to the ground. And it goes down there to the ground. And there's a ground pipe, 3 ground pipes. You'll see a electrostatic spark go to the ground. At that time, we'll take a look at what's going on down at the ground and what's going on with the electrostatic air. So let's get this thing going fast enough.
So that's a static force there at the bottom, is it?
Pretty interesting with the ground reaction, I must say.
Was that
Go
static?
ahead and get this.
That ground reaction? Mike, are you there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, it's
Was that static
yeah,
force?
basically it's similar to with lightning. Okay, you have the upper plate, the atmosphere. Okay, so that round plate that he had hovering over the ground.
Yep.
All right, and that he was basically ionizing the air between the ground and that plate. So when you have enough disturbance there,
Okay.
ionization, then you're going to get, the potential going to ground. You're going to get the arcs. Similar, very similar.
So
with lightning.
can you reverse that? Can that polarity, I guess, be reversed so that you're repelling from the Earth? Like, is this how Ed moved his big blocks around?
Yeah, and some of these other videos, Vinny Roy here actually displays. You can see right here, Mike, how he's also lighting up a fluorescent tube. It's creating a plasma field. But he levitates some of the rocks, some of the like the quartzite and the why can't I think of the word right now? What limestone and stuff is made out of?
Yeah.
Silica, the silica-based and quartz-based rocks. But he connects to it like Ed's flywheel, but then also some high-powered Tesla coils, but Tesla cone-shaped coils, as well as some pancake coils, which you're getting the scalar waves, another dimensional energy harvesting wave in there, and that's all connected into several circuits with his flywheel, and it's a exact replica, if not overly modded version of Ed's original 24 horseshoe-shaped quadruplet mathematically based flywheel.
So is it
It's
only
pretty cool
creating
effects.
charge or
static
receiving
field.
charge when it hits the spark, when that spark is hitting? Like
It's
off
it's
the wheel when it's hitting,
ionization
is
of
that
the
when
air.
Now he's got
get-
actual spark gap plasma jolt going between the two, and why it's such a big charge is this is, I believe, the cathode side, and then the anode side is a giant steel rod going down, connecting to the grounding, and I believe there might also be it's in a 3-phase with a antenna going up too. So that this is the negative,
Okay.
I believe, might be positive side, but either the anode cathode side of one of the grounding circuits. So that's where that current flow, ionized
Creating a
flow, is
circuit,
coming
yeah.
from.
But where he's getting the actual energy from, like is
Oh,
that
so the
created, like the actual
The energy is
energy
coming
is that
through
created every time that
the flywheel.
that it
That's
goes
through the
click?
flywheel spinning. Yeah, that's through each revolution of the flywheel spinning. Each
Yeah.
revolution
So
creates that.
so could he have more than one? Could he have more than one spark gap? Is what I'm thinking. Could
Well,
that be?
That's exactly what
Could
Mike
you
is
have
talking
more than
about
one?
incorporated feeling. That's
if
exactly
you have
what,
more than one, it steps
Oh.
up the voltage.
that's
Yeah.
the exact reason why I am showing
Nice.
this. Is because these are the ideas that Mike is already working on and thought of, and other people are
Mike's
right,
ahead
just
of me.
bringing the work together.
All right.
We are gonna have
And the
our
other
freaking-
question I've got
Voltage
is,
multiplier.
Sorry.
yeah, exactly, yeah. the shape of the flywheel, how it's got those three sort of, arcs, half moon sort of shapes. What are they for? Like, what do?
So you're talking about these
On the inside of the actual. Yeah.
So that's also a
Yeah.
resonant frequency that we see a lot of the geometry in those pane glass windows. So we're gonna have to figure out what
Exactly.
2D
Yeah.
field that is
And
of
the three and four leaf clover looking things.
You got
Sorry,
it.
keep
You got
talking
it.
over you.
Intricate part of how he's built the magnetic differential, I guess, in the field flow. So Ed's work and Roy's work here with these sort of flywheels ties in a lot with the research of John Searle and the Searle effects and the rotational magnetic fields within magnetic fields of DC motors and harnessing through that. And it looks like the further back in history we go, the more we see these sort of devices might have been on mass usage or development, or at least in certain places throughout time and wiped out in a reset or two, right?
I'll be back 1 second, guys.
Well, that's the thing. Looking at that device, it's like, it's pretty low tech, right? That's the kind of thing that anyone could pretty much put together. But we're given this perspective that, technology is hard and it's all circuitry and you need all this stuff that's hard to get. But I mean, I don't think that's what was going on. I think people were just making their own free energy devices, and they probably look pretty similar to that.
Oh, exactly. And it's that there's so many people that are actually doing it out on YouTube that just like geniuses like Mike waiting to be discovered and brought forward and worked together. And that's what APEC is doing. That's
Just don't let the government know.
Well, no,
I
like
don't want
Mike
to
was
lose
saying,
you.
there's actually some new programs apparently in Canada that will give grants for research like this and whatnot. And that's the whole disclosure thing. The whole reset is that it's starting to be allowed so that we won't implode upon ourselves. So yeah, here you can see a massive Tesla coil array that Roy has connected in his garage that he experiments with and ties into this massive Ed Scallon flywheel. And so these magnets, you're seeing the different opposite poles in them, but what it's hidden is that they're actually horseshoe-shaped magnets. And so there's 24 of them within that flywheel. And then he's got these two other step-up coil transformers. And then, see on the right side, there's that giant iron core ferrite inductor, essentially, like Mike is saying with the transformer. So that's one side going in, and then the left side is the second one. And the where we saw the sparks coming up and the differential flow of ions from the ground to the pad in the last video, that's connected to the left side, and then the right side is grounded up and then connects up to his antenna that they think he has on the roof or something like that. And that creates a decent amount of difference.
And there's no wire connection. There's no physical connection to the wheel, is it? That's just like a magnetic connection, field connection.
Yeah, exactly. And that with what Mike's intending to do is to create like a capacitor transformer pulse into the pulse motor portion of the flywheel that he'll add into his system, so that it won't need an outside starter or a force of like how Roy here is spinning it himself. It will just spin on its own once you click the circuit on, and it pulls enough charge out of like the atmosphere or out of the radiant energy, and that's how it gets going. And then it just keeps amplifying up and up and up through being in resonance with itself and adding in energies through the spark gaps and stuff like that.
See, the motor I'm designing, it might take one spin to get it going, but as soon as you get it spinning once, then it should take off on its own, provided that everything I've done is correct. So
What about
Nice.
they got
Yeah,
that
we have
one
to
type
do a build
an
of that
experiment where
motor
you could
too.
take energy, electricity right from the atmosphere. You can extract it from the very air and convert it. Have you seen those experiments?
yeah, they have one power station. I believe it's in Florida.
Might be a
Some
topic
guys have
we've
been working
covered
on it.
once or twice before, hey, Campbell?
Yeah,
but
Yeah.
yeah. That's what all the old buildings that they were all collecting free radio energy through their spires. You know, on the cathedrals, these old buildings with the big domes and the big spires coming off them. They're all machines collecting ethereal energy. So yeah, that's what that is. It's you can grade the energy. What is it? Every meter you're getting 100 amps. Is that right? Something like that.
No, every meter it's 100 volts.
100 volts. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Volts, amps. I'm still got to get all that stuff
See,
worked out in
that's
my head. All these different
the amps is
things.
the hot electricity, so that's like a lot more energy, where the volts is the cold electricity that you have it at the same resonant frequency as your circuit, and it'll power all of your electrical units, plasma units, cold electricity units, and throughout the field too, right? Like Tesla was doing it, and like the ancients were doing it, and you just need a small amount of this cold electricity as opposed to the high amperage hot electricity that then creates through the resistance, the heat, and that you have to put heat energy into your electricity when making it and harvesting it into our current systems, as opposed to these old ones, atmospheric based, the plasma based ones, the cold electricity that you just need the high voltage, and you can get away with a low amperage. And that's how it was exponentially more efficient. But simultaneously, how our current system, using all hot electricity as we transport it, generate it, and then use it through our homes, is so it should be like 1/10, maybe 1/5 the amount of actual energy generation that we're doing in our power stations if everything was running off of cold electricity and efficiently designed and sold to begin with.
I'm not even sold. I mean, come on. It's free. Now, I did have a question. I've forgotten what it was. Something about a spark gap, but anyway. Oh yeah, your spark gap motor, Mike. When can we do like a build video? Because I've got like a bus, right, and it's got solar on it, so I can get like a low voltage. But I've got like an air conditioner in there. I've got like a house air conditioner split system in there, which needs 240 plus to run. So with one of your motors, can I step up a low voltage from my solar source into 240 and higher?
Yeah, you take the pulse motor and you would attach it right into your solar control module that controls the voltage charge in your battery bank, and you can charge the batteries that way. So you go pulse motor, then the solar charge controller, then it goes to your battery, and then from battery to your inverter or whatever you want to do. Yeah, yep, definitely possible.
Cool. So would that charge the batteries faster? Is that how that works?
Depending
or
on
just,
your
it's going to be the
your
same?
output. Well, the thing is, like you're not using a full load all day long. So at nighttime, most of the
No.
recovery is going to be done at night, right? Because at nighttime, the most stuff you'll be running is basically your refrigerator and the odd utility. But other than that, the load should be pretty low.
Well,
so that's where the
I
most
am in
gains.
Australia, so I'm only the air conditioner on all night.
Yeah, you would have to have a pretty powerful
But
system.
yeah,
that's what I'm working on. That's what I'm working
okay.
on
You're on
now.
the job. All right, I'll check back. That's because if I can get that sorted, then that'd be perfect.
That's the coil or the transformer I'm working on now. Pain in the ass to make.
Mike, You got to
Nice.
give a little live demonstration here. Not fully on what not to do, but the show with like a non-conductive pole that you do not connect with, what not to touch, to not shock yourselves if people are going to try this at home, because when you're stepping up with such high voltages, it is very dangerous. And
Yeah, everything's kind of torn apart right now. So I really am not really prepared to do a demo.
enough. I'm just gonna pull up actually one of your videos on your channel, and
Yeah, you could do that.
we'll let that. We'll let you
Yeah.
talk about it.
But no, I
in a
think we
pre-
should definitely do some workshop videos. You know, build
Yeah.
it with Mike.
Well, see, I had an email today from somebody, and they want to get into this, and they asked me, "What's the easiest thing to get into? Where should I start?" And I told them the best thing to do is get the plans for a jewel thief circuit, and it's probably the simplest circuit you can make, and that'll demonstrate back EMF and being able to double the voltage of a battery to run LED lights. So there's a lot of plans on Google. You can just Google search schematics, and
That's a
very
very
sim-
good call. Very good call. I know the one you are.
What was that?
talking
Sorry,
about.
double thief?
a jewel thief
Jewel thief.
circuit.
And is it
Double
a
thief
type
circuit,
of
okay.
bell ringing circuit? Is that correct?
What's that?
Is it a type of bell ringer circuit, or is that a different type?
Yeah, they call it a jewel ringer or a jewel thief. Same thing.
Yeah. Gotcha. 100%.
There's a bell ringer circuit. Are you serious?
Jewel ringer.
Yeah.
There's different names for it.
Oh,
Jewel
jewel,
I
ringer,
think-
jewel
okay.
thief.
It's how you're stepping up
The
resonant.
bell ringer, is it living in a cathedral?
It'll ring your bell if you do something wrong.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So which video should I play here, Mike? I'm on your
What
page. So
video
everybody
you want?
Mike's YouTube channel, so make sure you go over.
Do the one where I'm doing like safety on shorting out the capacitor. You can do that one.
Everybody, welcome back to Faraday Research. And I'm doing this video because of what happened on the weekend. Previous videos about electrical safety, okay? We're dealing with extremely high voltages, okay? So if you have a pacemaker, you have a hearing aid, or any kind of radiological device in your body, don't get involved, okay? Take it from me right now. Don't worry about it. I've got a lot of videos there on pulse motors. You can work with the pulse motors. Right now, I'm working with the Don Smith generator. But now we're dealing with super high power. Okay, so on the weekend, I gave myself the shock of my life. I knew I was going to get shocked. I just didn't know how bad. And I'll tell you the reason why I'm able to tell this story right now, and the fact that, you know, if you do it another way, you very well could kill yourself. All right. So what I did was, here's the spark gap right here, positive, negative, and that goes to the ground. What I did was I grabbed with my two fingers on either side and got the shock of my life. Okay. The reason why I'm still alive to tell about it is the one hand rule. Okay. Voltage can only travel so far up your body if it only hits one spot. If it's positive and then a negative, and you touch it and become part.
Oh, Burn, we're losing transmission.
Yep.
Hello. So what's the one hand rule? It can only travel so.
Yeah.
If you're
like
only
if
if you
you
grab it
touch,
with just one hand, you're not gonna.
Yeah, like if you grab
Sorry, you go.
either side of the circuit, it will go through your body, through your chest, and out the other end. That's lethal. So if you're touching a circuit, and if you're going to touch both sides, do it with one hand, because then now, if you don't ground yourself, it's not going to travel through your body. It might go up to your elbow, but it ain't going to hit your heart, right? So that's really important
Yeah,
in
okay.
electrical safety. Yeah.
But if you're grounded, so if you're like outside with bare feet, it's going to go boom through your feet, is it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
going to feel good.
So with rubber sole shoes on.
Yep.
Okay.
Rubber. Yep. Rubber soles. Yep.
Okay. Safety. Rubber Soul. Good Beatles album, that one. All right. Well, Bernie has abandoned us, so I guess we better be smart and entertaining for a bit, Mike. What else are you
Yeah.
working on?
Right now I'm just working on. Hold on. Let's see if I can turn my. Let's see here. Change my camera angle here. Oop, hold on. Camera mic. Camera. So I'm just working on this circuit here. Working on the transformer. Spark gap, and then I'm trying different combinations of wire. What works, what doesn't work. So it's a lot of experimentation right now, trying to dial in what See, this is the high voltage module. So basically, this is a solid state Tesla coil, and that's what's generating all the power.
Okay.
And then these are the high voltage capacitors. I think those ones are rated at 15 kVA. They're at 20,000 picofarad. And I shorted myself on those guys, and it doesn't feel good. It almost knocked me right off my chair. So, yeah, literally almost knocked me right off the chair. So, yeah, you got to be savvy. Like that was total fluke when I did that one, but the other one I knew I was going to do. But still, irregardless, this is extreme high voltage.
Yeah, right. Doesn't look that deadly. So coils are multi-purpose, are they? Because you said that the power source is a Tesla coil, and you said that other coil was what?
That's a
capacitor,
transformer.
was it?
No, a transformer.
A transformer, sorry, yeah.
Right.
And a transformer steps up and steps down the current.
Right. So what I'm trying to do is step it down. So I'm stepping it down to a workable voltage, and then from there I put it through the full wave bridge rectifier, make it into DC, and then I can power a motor with it or whatever. So the experiment I did last week, it actually did work.
So a coil is it literally like a circuit or circuits if you've got more than one winding? Like, is that like?
Well,
is it literally just running the energy around, and then depending on the windings and the thickness of the copper or material, it produces energy, or it lowers it, or it increases it? Is they work? How do they work?
Well, it all depends on what you want to do. You want to step it up or step it down, but the way it works on frequency. So the two coils are talking to each other, literally. So it's the transfer of energy through.
So how do you know how to wind them? If it's
Well, there are charts you can follow. There are calculators out there that you can figure out how much turns you need for a primary or secondary. But for, say, like a step-up transformer, so say like a step-up transformer, the primary coil is going to have, say, 25 windings, just for sake of argument.
Yep.
And the secondary one is the one where you want to step it up. So from 25 windings, you would bump it up to, say, 3,000 windings. And that's where you get your gain.
Wow. That's a lot. Cool.
And so
is that literally, if we visualize
Well, you take whatever voltage you're starting with. So say you start with 1,000 volts, right?
Oh, I'm back.
Oh, is it
Yep.
back? What is
Sorry.
internet crap
Yeah,
out
I'm
on
back
him?
now. I just froze.
Oh, it froze.
Can you hear me?
I can
Can you
hear
hear
you
me?
fine. I see Bernie, but
Oh, yep, you
I
can.
don't
Cool.
hear anything.
I can hear you, Campbell, and see you the whole time. And sorry, I just had to get with a glass of ice water there and be a good host because inevitably a
No.
throat performer needs a soothing throat to be able to perform.
Beatboxing too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the windings on a coil. So when we
Yeah.
see like a frequency, oh God, I've lost the word. Well, frequency, because
eroding?
the tighter the frequency, the higher the tighter the waves are together, the higher the frequency, right?
Yeah.
I've lost that.
Well, the higher the voltage,
Like the
you
wave,
get higher voltage, higher
the
frequency.
higher, yeah.
When you right, so
Transformer, sorry.
So
So-
less windings on a coil.
right,
Less windings on a coil is literally the waves are further apart as far as the frequency, and then if you have more windings, they're tighter together, and so it's a higher
tighter
frequency.
together. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm gonna have to. I'll be a minute. I
Cool.
gotta
Okay,
go
I can see that.
re-log Ominous's computer back in. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, it's all depends on what you want to
Cool.
do.
Okay,
If you want to
that makes
step it
sense.
up, yeah, it's see, like to this day, really, people don't understand how a transformer works because when you got a coil with a
No.
core in it, it creates electromagnetic field in the flux. Now they've taught you in school the way it works is that flux travels through the core to the other coil or L2, right? Well, that's not the case because when you create an electromagnetic field, that flux is locked within the field. It won't travel. See, electromagnetic flux is locked in position. Because when you that old experiment where you put the bar magnet down and then you brush the iron filings on top of the paper and you can see the lines of force. Okay, so you're getting basically the same effect.
Yep.
All right, it's locked in that position. So therefore, the way they teach you in school, saying, well, the flux travels through the core to the other side. Well, if it's locked within its field, how can it travel? And that's the big controversy with the transformer. So my understanding of it is depending on the ratio between the two coils will determine the frequency and the output. Okay. So therefore, say the L1 is energized, and what's going to happen is it's now going to create a frequency. And that frequency is going to travel to L2 and start talking to it. So there is no flux involved.
talking.
It's a frequency.
Yep.
It's like two antennas talking to each other.
Definitely.
As long as they're in
Cool.
resonant
So-
frequency with each other, you can transfer the power over. That's why the
So
Tesla
is that what we
coil-
call scalar waves? Because you said that they're not
Yeah.
moving. They're like
Pretty
static.
much.
Are they scalar waves?
It's a frequency. Yeah,
And
it's
so-
a frequency.
And if you have, say, 25 windings like your like you said before, and then up to 3,000,
Yeah.
will that transform up to 3,000, or will it be the midway point?
Well, you
far
would have
as-
to calculate. You would
Because
have to
it's frequency
calculate it.
talking,
So
right?
yeah. So say take say 3,000 volts, and you would divide it by how many windings. Okay. So say you do
Okay.
3,000.
So yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
I don't have a
they're
calculator.
literally- yeah, but literally the two scalar waves are talking to each other, and they're finding a mid ground basically, and that's the new frequency or the new
That's right. Yeah.
Is that right?
So and then after
well.
that,
Yay!
you have to put it through another coil, and that's called a choke. And the choke, what it does is because you're dealing on a high frequency, that's actually an RF band, okay, radio frequency. So what you got to do is you got to eliminate that frequency, and that's what the choke coil does. So you would have the transformer, then you could put it through the choke coil, or I have to research it more, but my understanding, it should actually be before the transformer. You put the choke coil in, and that takes out that frequency out. But that could cause problems when it comes to the two coils talking to each other. So I'm going to experiment doing it on either side of the transformer and see where it works best. And then after that, then you put it into the full wave bridge rectifier, and then to whatever device or whatever battery or whatever you want to do.
Jeez.
So
I think
now,
we need
now,
to do like a basics course and literally go, this is a transformer and this is what a transformer does. And because it's like you said, like, I mean, you guys have been studying this. I've never done anything as far as electronics, you know.
We're doing more of
Made
that.
a few things when I was like 14 from Radio Shack, but
sorry, Cam. Sorry. But I think in
No, you're
time
right.
difference. But on Jeremy's channel with there's Falcon Space Mark, and then Jeremiah. He's joined the Technicians is his name, and then Jeremy Rice himself, and then Tim Ventura that does Apex, the alternative propulsion engineering channel. And we're doing. I introduced Mike to them last week there a little bit, and I'm gonna be Mike. I'll email Tim here after this and get it worked out for you to have a time to do a little presentation with APEC next week there. But yeah, you got to meet some of the guys briefly there. But that's one of the projects we're going to be doing is like from the ground up electrical engineering and lessons and stuff like that.
Nice.
And, I do recommend the Keshi. If just look up a lot of the legit Keshi workshop videos on YouTube, and they do have a lot of different people making their own basic circuits, basic techniques, coil winding, tricks and tips and stuff like that. There's a lot of decent content out there. Basically, the first couple times someone Googles it, it will usually show like a debunking channel dude that never makes it right. And then the second time you do it and click on to like one of the right ones, then you'll have like thousands of just different random people doing it and showing others how to do it. So just steer through the FUD when looking it up at first, and you will find it.
Yep.
Awesome.
I'm just trying to
cool your eyes, because that's the thing. They make you think it's so hard, but talking to you guys, it's it's not. As long as people, and I think that's probably it, because you guys actually understand it, and the people in the schools and universities doesn't seem like they do, so they can't explain it very well. So we definitely it's not that hard. Just need to know what things do. I'm getting there.
Well, it's the dogma, right? They've taught one way. Well, the way that they teach these students could be something that was introduced 35, 40 years ago. It's never evolved. It stayed the same. And that's why I said all electronic engineering technology ended when Steinmetz died. We never evolved after that. But it's starting to change.
Yeah,
starting to change.
Yeah, well, that's been the big problem with science. They were just like, well, we know the answers. And if you know the answers, you can't learn anything.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, so that's why us guys at home have to do our experimentation and try to bring some new realities to the table. That's what I'm doing.
Definitely. And you're doing a good job there. Got to bring in this new world, new free energy. Stop being scammed by these bloody electricity companies.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
And it's all just free.
Yep, I think that's what I believe.
Got here D Nice. Hello, Jeffrey Ball. Amanda B. Hello, I Heart Fairies. Buried Axelade. Tony Boney, Nonfiction. Stuart Rogers, Doc Michael. Oh, Bernard's even in the chat. Bernard's everywhere. Traders all over in the better chat. What? Even in here? What? What's God? In the better chat room, lol. I don't know what's going on in the chat. Ominous has no sound. Are you talking, Ominous? Hi guys. No. All right, there we go. So, all right. Are we done? We've been going almost 2 hours. We got anything else we want to add? Anyone got any questions? Non-fiction. Hippie Shaky is up early. Puppy sitting. I heard you've got a new puppy, Hippie. I'm jealous. I need to get mine soon. I'm going to have a bus dog. Got to get my bus going and get a dog. I am Karos. Hello, TW, Jeffrey Ball, non-fiction. Oh, thank you, non-fiction. That's very
Okay,
nice.
I got something here I can show you.
Everyone.
Cool. All right, here's the demo.
All righty, Mikey is ready to go.
All right. It's a bit of a mess, so bear with me here. It's nothing artistic. Change my camera. All right. So this was what I was working on last week. So everybody's kind of saying here. Let me change it this way here. Okay. Can everybody see what I'm doing here? Okay. So here's the new transformer.
Yep.
I'm just kind of toying around with the windings and stuff, trying to get the right combination. So I'm going to fire it up and then you can see the motor run. So basically what I'm doing, I'm going to be probably running around 8,000 volts. I'm going to send it through the transformer. I'm going to knock the voltage down to a usable power. And then I'm going to send it through the full weight bridge rectifier right there. And then it's going to run this little motor. So I'll just turn it on and get it going here. There we go. So we got it going. There's the spark gap. Got the motor running. So it's, yeah, I'm just working with the voltages and there's spark gap. I'll have to adjust that. But the main thing is
nice.
See.
So you've got power going into that though, yeah?
Yep.
How much did you say?
I had it set at about 11 kVA to get it going. I still have to dial it in. So I'm just toying with the numbers, with the amount of windings needed to run it. So let me switch back here.
What's kVA?
Kilovolts, 1,000 volts, 11,000 volts.
Not kilovolts. So
yeah. So I was stepping it down to the point where I could run a motor that runs off of 5 volts.
Okay. So this is a step down circuit.
Yeah. Huge dive.
Okay.
From 11,000 volts down to.
And so what are the advantages of?
Well, now I can control.
What are the main advantages of step down motors then?
Well, see, because like when I get it dialed in, I should be able to run this system on about 6 to 7 volts DC, and then be able to ramp up the voltage really, really high, and then drop it right down into a DC voltage that can pump out, say, 12 volts at 20 amps. All right, something like that within that range, where my input voltage is only 6 volts at, say, 300 milliamps. So I'm putting very, very little power in and getting a lot in return. But the only way you can do is step it really, really high, like in a Tesla circuit, and then drop it right down using the step-down transformer. That's where the electrons accumulate in that circuit and give the driving force you need in order to power utilities. So it's like an inverter. It's like an inverter circuit.
That's like torque energy.
Well, it's basically like a step-down inverter circuit, right? So I have to add a chip. Go ahead.
I forgot what my question was. Oh yeah. What are amps? So this is where I get confused. Volts
amp is the
and this,
driving.
yeah, this.
Amps is the current. It's the driving force of a circuit, but it's kind of a double-edged
Okay, so
sword.
it's the constant line of electrons.
Yeah, but you have a problem with that. See,
Yep.
when it's kind of a double-edged sword, you get the power you need, but yet it's destroying itself in the same process. You see what I mean? So it comes with a cost.
Is that from radiation? Is that from?
Well, when you get current and you get electrons accumulating in a field, that's where you get instead of the cold heat, now you're getting the hot heat, and that's where you get the heat, and the heat is destruction of energy. So that's where the cost is. So I'm just kind of toying around with the winding combinations.
So that's amps. So what is voltage?
Voltage is just your potential. Okay, so you could have 6,000 volts and touch it and not get killed because there's no amps behind it. Right? That's why I can jump a spark, half-inch spark off my finger.
Voltage is like Tesla's or like the resonant frequency of the circuit, and then the cold electricity, and then the amperage is like the heat resistance energy, the hot electricity.
The current.
Yeah, so it's the current.
And then what's the other one we have? Volt, amps, and what's the other one?
Volt and amp. It's amp and voltage.
Yeah.
So your amp is your.
That's all you need for a circuit.
The hot current, and then the volts is the cold resonant electrical frequency of the circuit. It's the revolutions per second within the circuit. That's the resonating circuit frequency, essentially. And
creates the frequency. Yeah. Okay.
Uncle Kenny, Theoria Apophysis, Tattooed Monkey, his stream there with the magnets and whatnot, he understands Steinmetz and Tesla's work a lot, just like you talk about it, Mike. He's got a very good understanding of it as well, and goes into a big detail about how everybody has Tesla's volt system like misunderstood, and how it's the revolutions per second, the resonating frequency or times that it's electron essentially goes around through the revolution of a circuit per second. So that's what you're turning your cold electricity into that same frequency. So it's going through, it operates on that same electrical current or harmonious resonance. And then the hot energy is where you're getting the electrical resistance that creates the heat. That cold electricity gives you the light, hot electricity gives you the heat. And it's that hot electricity is the whole spectrum of wavelengths of color and energy between the cold, the blue, your ultraviolet, small little wavelengths. That's the cold electricity, the cold light, electrical light, UV light, or the hot red infrared energy of wave spectrum of physical light that is the massive energy, sun radiating hot electrical, hot energy, light wave, energy wave. And that the system, sorry, continue.
That's voltages and amps. So I just remembered the other word. I mean, there's watts. What's wattage and like? Is all you need for the circuit? You just need to know the voltage and the amps, basically the input and and the output, volts, I guess, isn't it? Like
volts and amps multiplied together is your current, and then your wattage is your usage of current per hour. Is that correct, Mike?
Yeah. Volts times amps.
So it's all cool.
Yeah, volts times amps is giving you your
so the current would be
wattage.
So they're basically just God, I can't find any words today. Equations of the wattage and the amperage.
Yeah,
I
just
mean, of the
Google
amps
search
and
it.
the
It's right there.
volts. Oh, God.
Yeah, yeah,
I
it's all on
got my
Google.
words
Just
right. So let me get this out. So the amps is like water, right? That's like the driving force. So if you ran that,
yeah,
say, water around, like, I don't know, a fractal shape like a star, say, would
mhm.
encode the water with the frequency, which would be the what is it? Amps, which would be the what's the
Volts,
word? The output,
frequency,
the
output.
volts, the volts. I need
Yeah,
to write a wall chart that I can
I'm envisioning
refer
what
to.
you're saying, Campbell, and I like that. And yeah, the water being the hot, that's the force, right? The energy push, the momentum,
Yeah.
the everything of it. And that's why in liquid, in water, your sound energy is yeah. So I guess essentially ultraviolet, your light, your cold electricity, that is your a light wave, and then your heat energy, your amperage could essentially be your sound wave, where it's double that, it's multiplied by each other, holding both, and that's why it's the magnetic,
Okay.
right? Yeah, so it's the magnetic
Something like a
current.
bell or an organ.
Yeah, so it's sound and it's the magnetic. That's what it is. So it's the electrical light plus the magnetical sound wave included in it. That's the current. That's the
light
the
through,
amp.
oh God, through the window, right?
Yeah. So I know that was a bit of a word soup mumbo jumbo, but what I just envision is that your volts is your cold light electricity wave, one-dimensional electrical field, and then your amperage is so that's first one's your volts, and then your amperage, which is your hot electricity with your most energy, the water, where actual sound vibration takes shape and form. That is your amperage, your hot electricity, your force, but your magnetic sound electrical, not just light electrical wave and resonance form. And that's why it's exponentially more energy when you're using the amperage or the hot electricity or that sound electrical, the resistance.
Would light be considered plasma, fifth element energy?
Yeah, so light comes from plasma. It's a form of it. Like all plasma, when activated, is giving off light. Like that's your ionized gases. That's noble gases in their plasma state. And that when you have these vacuum tubes, your fluorescent tubes, when they're in any plasma state, it's giving off light. The spark gap, that's plasma state, it's giving off light. Your orbs, it's some sort of photon coming out of the plasma, but it's whether it's cold light or hot light, right? Like, is it radiant on the infrared side of light wave, or is it on the ultraviolet side of light wave? And that's
which is the moon, because the moon gives off cold light.
Yeah, that's like one of our first episodes going back to, is the moon a cathode, right? Like just all these.
Yeah. So the moon gives off cold light, and the sun gives off hot light. That's really interesting. So if you have hot, like if you have light going through a window that's a fractal shape and it's focusing a point, and you have water running underneath, the amps underneath, and then you add in sound. Like what would that do? You add in the organ and the bells. Is that a circuit?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially if it's
Is that a
water.
spark? Is that a spark gap? Is that
yeah?
Like, is the cathedral a kind of spark gap?
especially between the usual bell tower anode and then like the center spire cathodes, right? Definitely, it's a massive atmospheric
Yeah,
spark
yeah.
gap.
Yeah. And so that's where they bring in the potential, right? That the free energy, and then it's tuned, amplified, and put out. Wow. So, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to look for photos of old cathedrals with lightning or with sparks and stuff going off in them. I wonder if all these pictures of the lights that we have. What kind of
Campbell, you should definitely pull some of your.
maybe they weren't like. Maybe that's just turn the machines on, and then maybe that's what all these lights were. These lights that we see back in the 1600s and stuff. Is that just machines firing off and spark gaps going beep beep? Like who knows, right? Who knows?
Well, Frankenstein's lair up in the freaking Cathedral Mountains. Campbell, do you want to maybe pull some pictures up of? Is that what you're doing already? And
pictures of cathedrals and stuff.
Yeah, cathedrals as well as like the moats with the crazy geometrical like star cities and stuff.
Guys, I got a jet for the night here. My phone's ready to die on me.
Fair enough for sure, Mike. Thanks for joining in, and always a pleasure talking and discussing. I'll be in touch to try to get something together for next week's APEC there on Saturday with alien scientists and the rest of them there.
All right, sounds good.
Much love, brother.
Take care.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, take care,
mate.
Will do. Cheers.
All right, let me share screen here. Okay, can you see that? So that one hasn't got water. There we go. So these are star forts, ominous. Is that working?
Yeah, I can see it for sure. Can you see that again? So these are like little tiny towns and cities throughout Europe that they're like at least 500-600 years old. We've dug up all these different maps that show like every city around the world was built in these forms from maps in the 1500s. And they're literally on every continent in the world. There's like a couple just dug up and dated in Bahrain that are like 3,500 years old, yet we're told that they were made. Yeah, so see, right? Like there's literally every town in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, North America even. And this is the classic 5 bastion star.
There's a second Pentagon. Who would have thunk it?
Where's that one? Like identical. Does it say, Cam? Do you know where that one is or no? And chances are the Washington Pentagon one probably had that 5 star-like outer terraformed between it too. One's out literally.
And this one's out in the middle of the ocean. Fort Jefferson. This is so you can see the layers, how many layers there are in these things. This is New York.
Forming. So that would have been what, the Citadel in New York? Oh, that one there. Sorry, I'm lagging a little bit behind y'all. Beat myself up.
Yeah. So that New Amsterdam or New York, and look in this photo you can see the wall. See the wall coming around here. So that's the Star City Wall. And of course, I don't I don't think this canal's still here, but look how far the water goes up even back then. No doubt it would have all been connected. So, is that Palmova? Is that one? And even if you can see this has got no water, but there's always water close by. You know, it's been cut off. They cut the current. You can see this flows around, and there's always ways. This is probably being filled in for the water to get inside. It could be underground, and then inside we always have, you know, cathedrals. And of course, randomly built to the frequency of the Earth, the ley lines. Star City. And where's the citadel on this one? Don't even know. But of course, in the middle, and they're always identified, aren't they? The cathedrals. Look at them. 1, 2. Look at the size of them. And then every other building is just, you know, it's just a building. But these stand out, these cathedrals, apart from their size. But so they're a part of the system. On the water's edge. 1600s cathedrals that are like, you know, 10 stories high, free energy spires. And again, look at this. This one shows you here that here's the cathedral. Where's it looking, I wonder? You know, is that where it's giving its energy off? Who knows? Okay, bit of a grid system here. I think that's a Chinese map, that one. But again, this is a star city. This is a big walled city. Not the best.
Hold on, Cam.
Canton, there you go.
It's frozen on one single
freezing?
picture for me. Is everybody seeing a different picture? Oh, there we go. Now it's caught up.
Okay. So yeah, this one's Canton. Look at that. Not your traditional star looking city. That's China. What is it? Chinese Tartary Cathay. Another one up in the I think that's in the Netherlands. I mean, even just the inside, like there's so much construction, and you can see these are big. You know, these are big houses. So they're not small constructions, and that's just the citadel. So these things are everywhere. And of course, they try and tell us they're castles and things like that. Hamburg, check out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 massive cathedral spires, and then, you know, another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, a few windmills, you know, back in the 1600s.
So our theory is that those spires were giant atmospheric electrical harvesting devices at one point through these cathedrals and whatnot, the older architecture. And it makes sense because all of like the brick now we know are especially red brick, our batteries can be used as it. The iron cores go through these old buildings that they claim is only 200-year-old technology, yet it's throughout all of Turkey there and whatnot. The same areas, they're destroyed, exposed, and it's over 1,200 years old. It's just laid in ruins, these same buildings. The dielectric between the copper and gold and silver roofs, domes, capacitors, and the atmospheric differential by having those spires up into the air with their antennas, and then you have a grounding rod into the ground and a cable chain into the ground, and between that creates a massive spark differential or electrical differential that's put into a three-phase bell ringer or jewel thief circuit there. Will power everything in the old world, I guess. But this is higher dimensional frequency stuff that is just coming back to the forefront of what were they doing only a couple hundred years ago. They were still building these, and every city around the world existed as them. What sort of energy frequency harvesting technology is this? It's crazy.
It's mad. And, you know, we couldn't even design these things today, let alone build them. I mean, that just looks like a machine. Look at that. Oh,
Right? Like that's pretty undeniable that is some sort of higher dimensional technology. Like, why else would you go through such extremes to produce it? The amount of terraforming, the amount of work in this age that we're told that there was nothing, like no resources, wars and plagues and all this stuff, yet it's like you're moving literal mountains and hills and moats to create these same repeating infrastructure everywhere around the world over and over, and we're not taught anything about it. We're not taught anything about this Tartaria, that was the empire that took up all of Siberia, took up North South America, for all of Asia, everywhere. The further back you go, the more the Tartarian Empire is listed. And that now we go on Google Maps to all these ancient cities from 500 years ago throughout Tartaria, bigger castles, bigger cities as anywhere else on the maps. And it just looks like nuclear annihilation craters. Yeah, like, look at this terraforming. This is in Spain, I think, or Portugal. This crazy one still there today.
Yeah,
like,
Spain, yeah. Yep.
That's just, it's insane the amount of work to like make these and to have measured and built, and what exists even further underground from it. Like, God only knows, but like there is some sort of massive cover up, lost history, technology, and understanding that it's like, what, there's no rationale behind the narrative history we are taught in our education system that explains any of this. And it's like, as a musical artist, Ken, and someone that understands the science of sound and fractal geometry and stuff, is please do share what's going through your head as you see these things. Oh shit, oh no, Ominous has been muted this whole time. My bad. Fuck. I'll be back.
Oh no. That's not good. Bernie, you can't take the ability to vocalize away from a vocalist. It's just not on. That shows you just a bit of scale. Like, look at the height of these walls. This in here, this is, well, at least a 2-story building, but we know with these old world buildings, they've got very tall floors. So if that's 2 stories, I mean, what's that? 5-story wall at least. And look at the basement, like this whole base. Imagine the amount of material that had to go into that. It's just madness. Japan. So they're everywhere. They're like literally everywhere. They're in Australia. Heaps of them.
Can
are on
you guys
the coast.
hear us?
Yes.
All right.
Well, I think it's interesting because you're looking at it and it's targeting a larger audience. Why else would it be so big? It's presenting itself to something of a larger scale that's from a different place outward. And how large it is, I mean, it's amazing that they could see it. I mean, the only way you could see something of that magnitude is if you're seeing it from that point of view. So it would have to be from something almost as if it could be like an alien-like kind of theory. I mean, you know, hypothetically.
Yeah, well, it's a good point because one of the reasons they stayed hidden for so long is you don't realize what shape they are until you can see them from above.
So it seems like that's your target audience.
To design them and build them. Yeah, right. So who are they speaking to?
unless they have a flying device of some sort, like that we don't know of. I mean, they could have it could have been lost. That kind of knowledge. I mean, once knowledge is lost, it takes a long time to regain it again. But I mean, they might have had other methods. I mean, there's a lot of theories about places that were more civilized that ended up being destroyed. Like I don't know if you've heard of Mu, but like other things other than Atlantis and other continents.
Yeah.
Kind of,
Lemuria and all that kind of stuff. Yep.
Yeah, and it's kind of neat. It's once things get lost, and I guess it's like a dark ages, and then it's just you find different versions of this technology, but just maybe not the most efficient. And maybe the most efficient was developed, but we're slowly just trying to figure that out again. I'm being tracked. Oh no, what does this mean? Oh, this computer's going through craziness.
Just lost you there.
Tell you.
Yeah.
My apologies.
So that's is this Italy? No, keep going. I just cut out for a minute. So this is Portugal. And you can see they've all got points. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can see it's been changed. But this would have had a middle bit. There was 6 pointed too. They're all based on numbers. I'll see if I can get a better one. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, it's kind of neat because I think if we're going to communicate with any form of intelligence, it'll be through mathematics.
Oh, yeah. Well, they say that's the universal, language, right? It's supposed to be the constant. But you can see here, this is the city, filled with, of course, the cathedrals everywhere. And this is what we call the citadel. And then look at all these other, what we call satellite stars. One up here, big walls. But this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pointed. And in the middle, we have, hang on, he says 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a pentagon. So this is based on 5. This star here. And then it's gone out to 4 here. So it's all to do with frequency of some kind. And maybe if it goes from 5 to 4, maybe it's a step down.
It could be.
Circuit. Who knows?
It's weird.
Another one. Where's that one? Oh, I don't know where that one is. I think that's on a tropical. I think that's in like the Bahamas somewhere. And this sign here. See that's everywhere. It's almost like the peace sign it's in the landscape everywhere. And you get these as well. See this, how it sort of goes up to the side here?
Yeah.
Like this is all uniform and it kind of bursting up this way.
Okay, yeah.
See that a lot too. So
it's like a shape over a shape.
So I'm not sure if that's. Yeah. It's sometimes they're just built up in one shape, but sometimes they have these bursts, these directional sort of bursty looking things. So I'm not sure if that's directing energy or trying to show. Like this one too.
It's like a ripple.
It's kind of going down.
It's like a ripple of like another perspective of it or something, like another side or angle.
Yeah. So there's a lot. We're still trying to work, and there you go. That's an even better one. We're still trying to work out what they are. But then you get these uniform ones where they're not going to any particular direction. They're just, going out in sort of pretty uniformly. And so this one, let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm guessing this will be 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they're all based on, numbers, geometry, frequency, all this kind of stuff. And they're everywhere, and they're old. Here's a nice old walled city. They try and tell us. There's one right there. There's a citadel. I mean, God knows how old that picture is, but they're supposed to all have been built basically between 16.
Did we lose Campbell? Uh-oh.
It's just,
Oh, no, there he is. It's coming.
I'm back. Yay.
It's
So,
quite
oh,
remarkable
gosh,
that
look
you're
at
on
that
the
one.
other side of this realm, and yet we're able to connect in a time like this. The occasional 10-second delay here and there.
I know, right?
Definitely no complaining here.
It's not much to pay. Check out this place. Is that a fountain? And look at the size of this dome. Like, compared to these other buildings, and look at these massive 2 obelisk spire things. You know, and this, again, I don't know the date of this, haven't got it in front of me, but this is clearly, you know, at least a few hundred years old. And look how built out it is. And look at all these. Look, see all these arches? How the water goes in?
Yeah.
And this is what we were talking about, right? The water gets fractalized and then it actually goes into the city. You can see this one, right? Going up and all the way through. And we're pretty sure they go under the cathedrals and obviously under other certain buildings, and obviously to, you know, go to the fountains and stuff. And that's why today it's coming out everywhere that there's tunnels under all the old cities, the major cities. There's tunnels, there's tunnel systems. They're finding them everywhere.
Right? Like,
And
is
that
there
was how they were running the water through,
city
I think.
that doesn't have a whole underground city underneath it? And then at the same time, even like over here, Calgary, Alberta, Canada, supposedly like brand new age city, yet even in our downtowns, there's a whole under city that is built, and like a whole like underground subway system that like has never been used but has existed and been built in since the 70s or the 60s. Like, it's just insane. And then like I've had friends that I've lost to like the dark side that like got lost to like meth and fentanyl addiction and stuff, and they went down into the streets and they're like, oh yeah, like we like when they one friend before he died, one of the times he did clean up and I reconnected with him after he went through treatment, but he told me how like it's like literally a community of like drugged out zombies, vampire people that like at nighttime they pop up and roam the streets to fend for their drugs, but at night they go back underneath into these underground realms, and like it's just creepy, and like there's a whole other like city and civilization or sub like civilization of people like living below every city that we know that we don't even know about or pay attention to. And then the older ones, like you hear about Malta and the tunnels, and then the elongated skulled people that supposedly dwell down there, and old Parisian, what is it called? Whatever. Like, no thanks, underground tunnels of millions of skeletons with who knows what's under
the catacombs.
like, the catacombs are like in Rome. Like it's oh man, it creeps.
Seems like an instinct to have like these kind of things in case of an extinction level event or some kind of protection. And the rumors of the lizard people are kind of cool too.
Right, exactly. Like, who the heck knows how
They
many
are.
different dimensional entities are down there?
This is the
The
problem
old
we have.
devil
Like,
underground.
I'm in Australia, and Australia's like Canada. You know, we're told all our cities were built sort of pretty much 1830, after 1830. You know, and we had tiny populations. You know, they no manufacturing that anyone can prove, but all these cities popped up, and they kind of explain them. But then, you know, all these tunnels and massive tunnel systems made of red brick start appearing underneath the city, and it's like, well, who built them? You know, in a country like Australia, there's no time frame, you know, allowed for all that construction, because that would have had to happen before any construction of the cities happened. But we have pictures of cities with big buildings in the 1850s. So who built all this underground stuff? It wasn't the people, you know, who landed in Australia in 1788 or their descendants. That's for sure. You know, and that's without even talking about where did they get the bricks from in a brand new country where there was nothing. Like literally the story is we rocked up and there was nothing. There were trees and some Stone Age people, and that was it. But you know what, 40 years later we're building cities, multiple cities all over the country full of red brick. Well, where did all the red brick come from? Who was making it? Where are all the red brick foundries? You know, I mean, not foundries, and all the factories and the foundries for the metal, for the copper domes. We've got buildings with domes, massive copper domes on them. Where did all the copper come from? Who
Right?
made it?
And like,
What about the
and
glass?
why would you waste the resources of putting that much metal at those supposed times of hardship into these like ridiculous over grandified building? Like it's the official narrative is just falling apart everywhere because everything's popping up. They can't hide it anymore. And it's like there's been several resets. Before World War One, like the early 1900s and back, Atlantis was taught as official history in universities, that there was some sort of previous golden age, that there was resets, and that catastrophism was the official like geological record. And like that's supposedly what Darwin got rid of. And it's that there can be both evolution and catastrophism simultaneously. And if anything, catastrophism would probably encourage and accelerate pockets of evolution throughout time.
Nice.
Yep. For sure.
Right, Amanda or David? Like all the book burnings throughout the ages, like it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Remember, I was showing you that there's that shape. It's everywhere. This bloody triangle shape thing.
That,
and of course, that looks like
of,
a very skinny. Well, actually, you can see the bigger pyramid. It's like the pyramid with the eye on top as well.
Right, like giant resonating antenna.
So, and that's it's built into the street plans of all the capital cities. All the cities, you will find this exact shape. That's ridiculous. So it means something. Oh, there's an excited star for it.
Right, like that's the supposed like technological and societal creational standard right there, right? That's what we're taught to believe existed, but it's like no, the engineering that made these things is just so beyond. It's all lies. There's nothing else logically makes sense or explains it. Like
it's mad, right? Like this is the technology, and down here, but they built this. Yeah, right. So it was all found. Wasn't founded. This one's like, oh, there you go. That's in Norway. They're just everywhere. They're all throughout Africa. They're in the oceans, Poland. I mean, and that one, look at that, completely. It's pretty much in the ocean by the looks of it. And look how defined the lines on it are still. And that's probably, I mean, I don't know, 1,000 years old maybe. It's still perfect.
Right. And it's so much terraforming.
Just ridiculous. Just so much. It's just madness, right? And look at that ceiling. Look at that.
So what, the structure's proven the test of time, like most of these structures that have been around still exist. Maybe it's the composition of the structure, perhaps, like not, subduing to age, possibly.
Absolutely, right? And like how modern day downtown skyscrapers just crumble to pieces during an earthquake, yet we have all of these archaeological marvels that have withstood how many volcanoes, how many earthquakes, how many tsunamis, and everything else throughout how much time, and still stand perfectly. It's ridiculous.
I mean, look what happened in Auckland, was it Wellington, New Zealand, when they had the earthquake not long ago? Like, it was destroying buildings. I mean,
Right,
all earthquakes
exactly.
do, right? They just knock over our new buildings, but they don't, destroy these. And the old castles that are sitting up on the tops of mountains and stuff.
And it's that it's not
just-
that old
And
of
they're
a
all
society. Like people were building these cities, living in these cities only a few hundred years ago, like it's the biggest unknown, I'd say, in like the alternative history question marks of WTF is going on, like
Mhm.
and then why did
Yeah,
it
it's
stop?
just mad. I mean, the more you look into it, the more it's just look at that one, completely buried. Someone's just put their house on it. The frequency's been changed, right? It used to be for healing, but now they tell us that no, they're all for war. They're all for death, not for healing. For the exact opposite. Oh, am I here? Did I just disconnect? Am I back? Hello?
Does your own interpretation of it
Yeah,
alter
like
the
this.
frequency itself?
Absolutely. Intent is creation, is manifestation.
Intent, exactly. And that's a good one there. See how the water could literally be coming in, going around this fractal shape, and then out into these canals
Yeah,
or
like
somewhere else.
definitely generating some sort of energy through that.
Or with the help of water pressure?
Yeah, well, the salt water is like the ocean. Salt water is the biggest battery on Earth, and like current. What is current? Electrical current. Well, salt water current flowing through all of these channels. Those are giant electrical circuits flowing around in these shapes and these dimensions. That even today we do harness electrical current through water current, but were they taking it to a much better understanding of somehow connecting this water current to the atmospheric electrical current differential? And that's why there's so many different pictures of like Eiffel Tower like devices or blueprints of supposedly ones that were never built, but literally thousands of them. And there's ones in Tokyo, in Germany, in Russia that still stand today that are identical, that are unexplained. And then in a lot of these older Starfort ones, you'll actually see what looks like these low tech or some of them high tech Eiffel Tower like structures in the middle of them. Or next to, or in like the empty field or the center of the garden radials on the opposite side of the cathedrals and stuff like that.
It is just madness. Got out of that. So yeah, and the whole like the Vatican's a star city. Like all cities are basically star cities. Wow, look at that one. Check that
Right,
out.
like
It's like
and that
three in one almost.
So this is today's still remains, but when they were at their prime or when they were active, those were water channels between each of those radials and canals there that it's got to be harvesting some sort of higher energy fractal dimension. Like
Exactly.
but yeah,
Just a
ominous.
different. They just had a different
sorry, Amos, we gotta definitely what we were talking about earlier. Do some experiments of you capturing your sounds in different projections within a couple cathedral halls and see what sort of resonant energies and stuff like that we can get out of it. And
Yeah. Just for shits and giggles.
Oh, right. For the name of science, right?
That's it.
Do it
Sounds like a
yourself.
good enough cause.
It's
a good frontier to explore.
100%. If it cures,
yeah, I was wondering if we could make like a scale model. Like, can we make a mini, like literally a mini model, a little mini cathedral and a star fort, and run some water through us?
Yeah, 3D prints a little.
You can make like you know, like people make like the little train setups.
That would be fucking awesome. God. Already nerding out here, Campbell. Like, you're gonna cause a divorce in my life if I get a little Star Fort mini city going. Just kidding.
Anybody out there?
Yes, sir. You are back.
So, yeah.
And
so I just dropped out. So we're going to make a railway set. Oh, there you go. This is Australia, Star Fort. Australia was obviously discovered after they finished building Star Forts, or so they say. So that's an interesting one. Shapes. You know, mandalas are the same kind of stuff. Statue of Liberty sits on a star. Got a spark gap in her hand. Oh, the black sun. Pentagon. And there's that shape again, right? There's that shape again. And it's in the middle of the Pentagon. Oh my gosh, I wonder when these pictures are going to run out. I've got a lot of pictures of stars.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this just shows you how many. They're just everywhere. Everywhere.
Literally covering.
And people literally live in them, turn them into, and they just build on them. There's no respect at all. Like, just put houses in them, factories, bloody, you know, all this silliness. So there we go. Walk through, you know, you've just discovered star forts there, ominous. What do you think?
Very common in an uncommon fashion.
Seen them before? Have you heard of them before, or
only now more so that you brought it to attention?
It's one that a lot of people don't know about.
It's just the fact that we overlook it so much. When it's
Where
like
is
right
Global Vision?
Right, I know. He went off the deep end here with all of these Hollywood horror story videos. I did send him. I think I got him onto Keshi Foundation, and I saw him in a couple of like the Russian Keshi live streams, and then I haven't really seen him since. So who knows? But since we were talking about it earlier, there, Ken, and I know you always love this subject. Campbell play his Red Mercury video. The supposed...
Need a gift for your man this holiday? Meet the $60 Japanese knife the internet is calling a samurai sword for your kitchen. That's sold out.
I want a samurai sword.
Красная ртуть еще в момент Советского Союза, когда он существовал, и под красной ртутью что только не продавалось. Это мне.
Красная ртуть известна как последняя военная разработка СССР.
So that's the garlic he's got, and it's making the red mercury move away from it. and attracting gold. Ominous is getting into the beats. I can see there.
Why garlic?
Yeah, I don't know, but I think it's something to do with the acids in it. It must be, but that's why they also call it vampire blood,
Huh.
because it doesn't reflect in a mirror. It's scared of garlic and attracted to gold.
Is the substance illegal?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like plutonium
if you're
kind of
found
stuff.
with it, yeah, they'll at least take it off you if they don't throw you in jail. It was all
extremely illegal in Russia and the former Soviet Unions, where it actually existed.
used to be. Yeah, I don't know how you make it, but I have to work out how to make it. Just don't tell anyone. But same with mercury. You know, the only thing you hear about mercury, oh no, it'll kill you. Don't go near it; it'll kill you. That used to be in everything. It's actually that they use these stories so that people won't investigate.
Exactly, right? Like, yeah, my dad and his generation in school in the 40s, 50s, like they were handling large amounts of mercury in their like science classrooms, right? And they never had mercury poisoning or anything of the sort. It's when it's oxidized and in the small nanoparticle state that you absorb it, and it can accumulate and become toxic. But any metal just in its metal state is not toxic at all, or in its plasma state, then it's in fact good for you if you're needing certain plasma fields entered into you. But yeah, that is the question. Why is it repelled by garlic? Is it some sort of chemical in it, or is it like more experiment? If we can get our hands on this, we have to do experiments to see if it's like an acidic thing, an onion thing, like citrus thing, and do different experiments, or if it's literally or is it the vampires that are the actual evil parasites controlling us from underground that come out at night because it's like repelled by gold or attracted to gold, repelled by garlic, and like doesn't appear in a mirror? Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Could you get more of a vampire blood sort of conspiracy out there? And that's one of the fascinating parts of it. But we'll continue this video on because it shows some what looks to be former Soviet Union weapons being taken apart and actually demonstrating the chemical compound on. If you look at the ammo boxes, it actually gives you the mercury compound of the particles that make up this red mercury on some of them. Sorry, it's like on the cases and on the canisters. I've got it written down. It's like some sort of mercury sulfur oxide something. But anyways, it's like, is this that missing link of what the Germans were using, what all the legends of different stuff? Is it plasma state, or is it something completely different?
интернет. В одном из рекламных роликов в сети к небольшому контейнеру предлагается даже такой симпатичный буклет. Ничего о красной ртути, впрочем, не поясняющий. Производит ее, судя по видео, во многих странах мира. Подозрительно. Цены очень сильно различаются. Если верить объявлениям на...
Who's got a tube TV? Wow, so it's
We have
actually
another Calgarian tuning in with us.
turning off his mobile phone.
Hey, Bernie, I got to run soon.
Most definitely, most definitely.
Yeah,
We should
We're almost at 3 hours.
Well, that's awesome, though. Fun to walk on you guys.
Ken,
Isn't it bizarre?
what do you have a YouTube or a Facebook, TikTok? Do you want to, once this is done, give a to yourself?
Just check me out on Ominous Beatbox on YouTube. Ominous Beatbox on YouTube. I got some TikTok videos. Yeah, check me out if you're bored.
Well, and New West Reset apparently in Calgary, Alberta. So are we. And you're doing, you just did what show last night, Ken? And you got the Halloween one coming up and whatnot.
Yeah, a couple things on the go. And yeah, like I said, if you're bored, Ominous Beatbox on YouTube. Check me out. And thanks for listening.
Always a pleasure to have you. We will have you back again.
Yes. Thank you for your frequencies.
Oh, thank you. It's just the beginning. Hopefully more to come later on.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to go down this path a bit more. We'll definitely get you back on. So thanks for joining us. And thank you everyone in chat.
Absolutely.
Empress Infinite, Scarecrow, Strawman, David, I Heart Fairies, Empress, D-Nice, Nonfiction, Nestle, Scott, and everyone else that I forgot, and Kelly Dolan. Oh, and one thing I forgot to tell you is Pushkin Castle mentioned that she showed our video, the one that we did with Leak Project, to her son, and he came up with, he linked the Red Mercury to parting the Red Sea, and he said to look into red mercury and water, and like how they combine and react and things like that together. So there's something else we can look at.
Most definitely. Endless possibilities. All right. We will
Endless
be
possibilities.
back again next week.
Yes.
And love you all.
Next one.
Thanks for joining in.
Thank
Have
you
a
all for
good
joining
week.
us. Self-education is the way
Yeah.
forward. Stay awesome.
Much love and respect.